Good afternoon and welcome back for the market recap. Friends and traders, John Hoagland and Dan Hodgman. Thank you for trusting us with your time. Hopefully you've had a good trading day today. Some decent opportunities, nothing too tremendous. Volatility seems to be coming out of these markets a little bit. Just kind of looking through the markets this afternoon, crude oil, that opening range we discussed this morning remains the low of the session as economic relief and supply comes into the picture as far as price is concerned. A little bit of a boost in crude prices this afternoon. We're going to take a look at that very shortly. The E-mini S&P grinds higher, but seems a little bit hesitant at its day session highs today, near the weekly kickoff high or at the weekly kickoff high. Again, we'll take a look at that shortly. Gold having a hard time holding any rally today, kind of resolving down to the low of the regular trading hour session at the close here. And the euro, the entire session, high and close, last time I looked, were inside value area from Friday. We talk about when the market opens inside of the previous day's area of value, it might mean that there's very little change in the perception of value of that product, and better trade locations may come as the day goes on. And I think that was certainly the case for us in the euro, at least today. Make sure you like, share, question, comment. Feedback is always appreciated, as well as we always enjoy a good heckling. So make sure you at least say hello. At this time, I'd like to invite Dan, the man, the Marine Hodgman, into the picture. How are you feeling, Dan?
Feeling great. Feeling really well. Today was fun. We had one of our funded traders came in, went live with me. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was a good interview.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was good to have Adam in the office, and good to have him chatting with you. That was nice.
Exactly. And if you haven't checked it out, it's right on our page here. So make sure you go check out, whether it's in Twitter or Periscope or YouTube. It's all there. Make sure you check it out. Let us know what you think. Definitely was a lot of fun having him here. And hey, Monday is here. The weekend's over. Stock market's up. Things are looking good. Having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's funny. You mentioned the euro staying inside the range. Really didn't do much today. You almost sound like a broken record. Like the euro move. Obviously, that's a U.S. It's a U.S. based market.
Right.
But the move always comes before it opens up, before we get here in the morning.
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes.
I feel like it's so consistent that way.
We had the rally on Friday during the regular trading hour session.
I wasn't paying attention Friday. I was pretty much checked out.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. It's not really on your radar anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a huge currency guy. I will take a look at them every so often, but there's a point where you got to say enough's enough in the markets I'm watching.
Oh, for sure.
So,
yeah, you got to get to a little too spread out a little thin there.
It gets easy to get too spread out.
Yeah, you're gonna miss a lot of things, and it's okay to miss things, but not if I'm too busy doing something else, right?
Right. How's your weekend?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to move Luke into his house that he's staying with 4 buddies down at school. So it was a good day.
That's awesome.
It's good to see him spreading his wings a little bit now. And
now you're an empty nester. The house is empty. Just you and the wife.
For the most part, they'll still be stopping by once in a while. And my daughter, I figure, she's going to graduate this year. I figure we'll get a postcard every 6 months from wherever she is. She's very independent, so we'll see.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to see what you got to say about these markets.
All right, let's check it out.
Let's do it.
All right. Reviewing my notes from this morning, the overall volume in the crude oil has been suffering a little bit. I think that's probably going to change a little bit if we can get this market to change direction or change market state. We noticed this morning, hey, we've got the weekly kickoff high up here at 56.70. Our trend line was going right across it, and I kind of view that as a bit of a visual target, which suggested that we may head that direction just because of that crossover. People are seeing it, people are looking at it, and whatever people are looking at, they tend to make happen. So we've still got some work to do here in crude oil, with a little bit of, I don't even want to say it's, good news economically. We're not hearing any bad news economically. And then, of course, with the drone attack on the oil field in Saudi Arabia, supply comes back into question just a little bit. So obviously we're seeing the price moving higher. Here's our opening range right here. It remains the low of the day. Boy, the market sure gave us a couple of really nice cheap opportunities to look for longs against that opening range trade. If you weren't in it on the open, you got 2 more chances really within the opening range, that low of the session there, to look for a long, which really paid off nicely to the upside. We're still looking for that move up to 56.70. The market's largely closed for the day right now. Doesn't mean there's still not some possible participation or continuation here. We never really did close the gap after the U.S. regular trading hour open to the regular trading hour session on Friday. Never really did close that gap. So we're seeing this market resolving to the upside even post-close. Take a look at the E-mini S&Ps. The S&Ps. So, mentioning the market driving to weekly kickoff high. That weekly kickoff high is again 29.28 even. We looked above it in the overnight by 2 ticks. We looked above it in the regular trading hour by about $4 plus a tick. But we have not really been able to accept above it. Are we just not bringing in the volume? Well, when we look at the overall volume on this move to the upside, today is really kind of weak volume in the front month here. Okay, do we even have a million here yet? Probably not. But this can all change if we can accept above this weekly kickoff high. If we can bring in new participants to the upside, then I would expect to see a little boost in volume. But the market seems to be struggling at that weekly kickoff high today. Okay, here it is. Let me make this a lot bigger. So here's our overnight. Okay, we never really did get much of an effort to go close the gap, which leads us to keep looking for opportunities to the long side. Here's weekly kickoff high right here where my cursor is. The market peering above it, but really not bringing any volume up above that area. A little bit of time, but really just kind of settling down and kind of hanging around. Guess where? Point of control. Well, this point of control is the safest, not the safest, most popular place to trade today. Not the place I'm going to be looking for an opportunity. So just going to have to wait and see how this market kind of finishes out the day. If we continue to resolve to the upside, maybe we'll get a close above that weekly kickoff level high. Doesn't look as though that's going to be the case. However, I don't want to see this market really kind of fall apart at the end of the day today. I'd rather see a little bit of personality and the ability to hold this bid to the upside at some point here. All right, gold. Okay, well, for a week and a half, we've been talking about how this upside move is struggling. We got the move to the downside as the risk off turns to risk on in equities, at least for now. I think this was a technical move that kind of more or less needed to happen. We were running out of volume to the upside, and now we're getting a decent little bit of a pullback. Let's take a look here at the 30-minute. Okay, opening range remains the high briefly, takes a look below, and really we had a pretty weak attempt to go up and close the gap. I mean, it closed within 1 tick of closing the gap. There's 1 tick left of this gap. To me, that's information that I can use. The market couldn't even go and fully close that range gap. To me, that's a sign of weakness, and we can see how the market has resolved back to the lows. We still haven't taken out the overnight lows, but the market really kind of presenting in a way, or in a way that it really is not the way it has been. Okay, we can look back here. We can see market holding rally. Market holds the rally. Market opens, breaks, comes all the way back. Today, unable to hold the rally. That's a little bit of a personality change. It's going to be interesting to see how gold plays out for the rest of the weekend. And our euro, the euro really kind of testing not too close but relatively close to the weekly kickoff low. I'm just going to go to the 30-minute, and here's what we're looking at here. Okay, we knew that the market was closing inside value from Friday, inside range. Tells us, hey, you know what? Maybe we're better looking for opportunities as the day goes on. We get a little bit of a look to trade it relatively close to value high from Friday, but the market really kind of rotates straight to value low to the tick. It's largely closed right now. I'm going to be looking for more opportunities as the week goes on. We do have this weekly kickoff low looming just below. So, just a kind of a brief glaze over the markets as a recap, and just going to see what we got in the news. What's going on?
Well, the normal stuff. We're going to talk trade. There is going to be a decision tomorrow on if they're going to extend this Huawei, forcing them to buy from U.S. Companies. They're right now said they're going to hold on taxing them for that, but there's going to be more of a decision from that tomorrow. That could have a big effect. We know how big this Huawei has been over the last few months. So President Trump has said that they'll make a decision tomorrow. They may hold off, or they may implement these taxes upon them. That could change things. Today we had a nice rebound in equities.
Yeah.
That could completely change, and you could see the buyers coming back into gold, coming back into treasuries, bidding those things right back up. But I think, and this is just a personal opinion, President Trump has talked about now, continue to put the pressure on the Fed. He wants to see equity markets continue to back to the upside. He wants to hear that all-time highs again.
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's continues to be that looming threat, not going to just turn around and say, okay, yep, we're adding these tariffs on you, deal with it, Huawei. I think it could be a little bit more of the, look, we're going to hold off right now, we're going to continue our trade talks.
Right.
And, by the way, trade talks are looking good.
Right.
Something along those lines.
Right, and that's kind of the tweet he sent out this weekend, right?
Exactly.
Like,
I think
we're talking, it's going okay.
Yeah.
But there's no results.
Exactly.
So
we're not seeing anything yet.
We're looking at things being already priced into the market.
And the way I look at it right now, I think about it in the sense of, this is a massive deal they're trying to do. You go out and buy a house. You're essentially making a deal with someone.
Right.
It can take 90 days
to
just get everything set up, and that's just a simple, here's how much money I'm going to give you for this, and let's get these 3 things fixed in the house.
Right, but to get everything, all the ducks in a row and everything lined up, it can take some time.
Exactly, and so now we're talking about this massive agreement between 2 massive economic powers. There's a lot more intricacies than just sending an inspector in to go, hey, the sump pump looks a little dated, we want that replaced.
Right.
So to say that we're, it's, as far as I'm concerned, I can't be too bummed out that we haven't had a deal yet. I think they've been talking for a year on it.
Right.
I would be, honestly, in hindsight, looking back, if they had a deal, I would have gone, wow, that was actually pretty quick for them to do something.
I think you're right. I mean, it would be unrealistic to expect anything to happen that fast.
Right. You think about it like that, and then, okay, it kind of makes sense. But it's such a market-moving news that comes out that we have to be, as traders, we have to be on our toes about it, especially as a day trader.
Sure.
We've got to be prepared for this. So just keeping an eye on that. Danelle says here, he said, Dan, you often speak about news feeds, Associated Press, Twitter, etc. Could you expand on that list? Do you use one screen just for news? What's your recommendation for a minimum setup? Well, I'll be honest with you, Danelle, I just kind of I'll scroll through Twitter. I have a lot of news apps that I get notifications from. That's a lot of my news-based decision making. I see that stuff.
Right.
And not that I'm a reactionary trader, but when I see that something come across, President Trump tweets, tariffs are on. If I'm long, I got to be getting out. If I'm short, I got to be going, right? I wouldn't say there's a setup. It's mostly just I keep my phone right at my desk, and
it does seem like people get news on Twitter faster than anything else, faster than anything you're going to get on the internet, faster than it's just how quick the world goes these days.
It's so fast. But then there's that question of who do you actually follow? Well, I follow Associated Press. I think that's just a quick news source. Here, I'll tell you what I use. I got Associated Press. I follow President Trump. I follow Jim Cramer. I like watching him. He's got a lot of great stock input. I wouldn't say advice, but he's got a lot of stock input that I like to listen to. I have a CNBC app, a Fox app, and then like Apple News. That's about what I'm getting, where I get all my information from. And then investing.com and WireWatch. I think that's it.
You think that's enough?
I like the news.
Do you need a couple more?
I probably have more.
I like the fact that you get the notification on your phone.
I love it
because you don't really have to keep your eye on it. You can focus on what you're doing. If something happens, first of all, you'll probably see it in the market before you'll get your notification. However,
you know what's amazing about that? I would think the same, but I think most people are kind of watching the same things I'm watching, or they have the news on, and the news has to create the story, like create their content around the story first, as opposed to so CNBC, for example, when they send out the notification, there's no information, there's no write-up on it, it's just the post, like a quick tweet, so to speak. And then I'll see it come across CNBC's TV show 20 minutes later. I've gotten really fortunate. I can give you an exact point. A couple years ago, I was on the floor, my phone goes off, and I go, I don't remember what it was something with Brexit. And I go, holy cow, this is going on. Instantly, we all adjusted. The market then reacted, and the phone notification.
Yeah, you probably got some high fives in the pit that day. Hey, thanks for showing us that.
Just to the few guys that I work with. We kept it pretty quiet. But it was awesome. I mean, and ever since then, it's just, to me, it's a no-brainer to have some sort of notification, something set up. You can't just hunt it all down all the time. It's so difficult.
Yeah, I find myself, something happens, I go, what was that?
I hear you all the time. Whoa, something just happened.
What was that? What do we got?
There's a snake in the woodpile.
We just don't want to get bit.
Right. So on the news front, I got something interesting. I am a huge fan of cars. We were talking about cars earlier. I love watching car auctions. I watch Meekum on Sunday mornings pretty religiously. So this was interesting. Not the typical car auction I watch, but Sotheby's in Monterey was auctioning off a 1939 Porsche Type 64. This is a handmade, one-off style car. It was a race car. They were saying it's a $20 million Porsche. And there was an auctioneer. He was Dutch, and the screen operator was a different nationality. So the auctioneer had said 17 million, and the screen operator thought he said 70 million, and they botched the whole auction on this car, and the car never sold. No one ever put another bid on because, and this is interesting, auction process, it goes with trading. How often did it happen back in the day when someone thought they said one thing, but it was actually something else?
For sure.
And everyone just goes, wait, what?
Right.
Same thing happened here.
And as a phone clerk, I remember you always had to spell out the number. If somebody said, buy 17 live cattle at the market, you'd say, okay, I'm buying 17, 17.
Yeah.
17. Yes, that's correct. Okay, October live cattle. Yes, sir. Market. Yes. Off it goes.
Right.
You always had to, is it 50 or 15?
Right, because you're speaking so fast and there's noise everywhere. You got to clarify.
Right. Yeah,
even if it's going to cost an extra half a second.
Yeah.
It's worth the clarification.
It's certainly worth it.
Right. So this car,
worth it.
They never got another bid after that. Never hit the reserve.
Right.
Never sold. So I thought that was interesting.
That's a shame.
Right. I thought that was interesting.
Well, it'll probably still sell eventually.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it probably sold after auction to the guy who actually really liked it and wanted it.
Yeah,
probably found the owner and they made a deal.
Contacted him and
right.
Yep.
So.
All right.
You want to introduce it?
It is time.
It is time.
This date in history with Dan Hodgman.
All righty. This one's fun. On this day, August 19th, in 1909, The first ever race was held at the infamous Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Really?
Yeah, so it took place in 1909, 5 miles outside of Indianapolis. It was a
110
rectangular,
years ago.
right?
110.
Rectangular 2.5 mile track, linked 4 turns with each exactly 440 yards from start to finish, by 2 long and 2 short straight sections. And the first race had 12,000 spectators.
Wow.
As the Austrian Louis Schwitzner won with an average speed. This is what's amazing. 1909. Remember,
Average speed.
and let's build the story around
I was
this.
going to ask that. Go ahead.
So
though.
cars back in 1909 weren't really even used. We were still people were riding horses and buggies, and it wasn't just a thing. And you think, but there weren't roads. There was no interstate.
No airbags.
1909, no airbags.
No helmets.
Wood-rimmed tires, essentially, probably.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm thinking about it. When the Model T. I'm gonna figure out when the Model T was released really quick. So I'll jump into it. So the Model T. Okay, the first Model T was 1908. Left the factory September 27, 1908. So a year later, he did 57.4 miles per hour average speed. Won the race. That's pretty quick.
My question is, what did they have, a radar gun?
It's all time based. Going this distance in this amount of time. So they probably have a stopwatch.
Yeah.
Okay, we started, and now we just do the simple math. Okay, he went this many miles in this much time,
That
and
seems
here's
pretty fast.
right.
Seems pretty fast.
I'm thinking about it, open air, on a boat, on a motorcycle, 60 miles an hour is
Yeah,
fast.
it's pretty fast.
It's really quick,
Particularly on a boat. On water, that's fast.
right? These guys were flying, and these cars were probably shaking the whole way down,
And those were some brave young men.
right?
Brave young men.
So that happened on this day in history. Also, I'm not going to say the year, but my mother was born. It's my mom's birthday, so shout out to Mama Hodge. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mama Hodge.
Happy birthday. So, awesome. Well, it's only Monday. We got a long week ahead of us.
Yes, we do.
So, John, as always, thanks for giving me the time.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining me. And again, great interview with Adam.
That was a blast.
Adam, if you're watching, great job. It was great to have you in the office today. And we'll look forward to what we got going on the rest of the week, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you go check it out. Alan seemed to like it, so thanks for that, Alan. All right, everybody, I'm out.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
All right. Tomorrow, we have the Red Book at 7:55 a.m. Central Time. Really, I think the most important things are due out later on in the week. FOMC meeting minutes at 1 o'clock on Wednesday. Of course, we have the EIA at 9 o'clock Central on Wednesday. 9:30, it looks like, actually. Yes, 9:30, as always. Thursday, jobless claims. Nothing really else that influential. We have misleading indicators, but that's really not a market mover on Thursday. And then new home sales again at 9 o'clock. And if you saw Adam's interview this morning, he's talking about how new home sales can be a market mover, particularly when there's a pretty big miss in that number. It's a pretty good indicator of how the economy is doing overall, and it has in the past been a market mover. I'm not suggesting it's going to be this time unless there's a big miss in the numbers, but we'll be watching for it, and we'll be reminding you of that as the week goes on. Have a good night. If you're still in the markets, keep your powder dry, get a good night's sleep. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:15 for the market forecast. Until then, trade well.